Paper Crafter's Library. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create this happy birthday card. So I have here a 4x5 1/4 inch piece of vintage cream cardstock from Paper Tray Ink and a 4x5 1/4 inch piece of this pattern paper that comes from the Echo Park So Happy Together 6x6 paper pad. So I'm going to stick the pattern paper to the cardstock, and I'm going to make sure that I apply my adhesive quite generously. Now, as you can see, this does use up a lot of adhesive, so that you don't, to make it less expensive, I guess, you could use a liquid glue like the Tombow Mono multi-liquid glue as well. You don't have to use the dry adhesive. And then what you want to do is you want to stick the pattern paper on top of the cream colored cardstock. Like so. So you want it to be completely aligned. So there you can see what that looks like. So now our next step is to cut out a portion of this pattern. We want to cut this in half, but we want to cut it on an angle. So I'm going to cut here. So I'm making a pencil mark just so that I can help kind of figure out visually where I want this to go. And actually, let's just see here. Maybe what I'll do is I'll cut it here. I'm going to put a pencil mark where I'm going to cut it, and then here. So there you can see, hopefully you can see those little pencil marks. I followed this line here and did a pencil mark on that side, and that's what I'm going to align with my paper cutter. And then there's 3 of these little dotted lines in between, and then I put my pencil mark here and here. So I'm going to align this on my paper trimmer, and because I'm cutting through 2 layers of cardstock, I'm going to have to be very careful. Now, the one thing you have to worry about when you're working with a paper trimmer is that it can cause a little bit of drag. The other thing that you could do if you're worried about your paper sliding and you have a tabletop kind of guillotine style cutter, you can use that and may find it a little bit easier. Alignment is a little bit more challenging because you do have the paper guard in the way, but you could align the lines like so. Then you hold it down with the paper guard and you don't have to worry about your paper shifting. You get your cut. So there you can see you now have the center portion that you've cut out and then the 2 sides. Now I'm just going to take the eraser on the back of my pencil and I'm going to erase the pencil lines that still show on this piece. And now there is a little bit of a raised edge there, so to smooth that out I'm just going to take a sanding block and sand that in a downwards direction. Just to try and smooth that out. So now you can see we've got our 2 papers over here. So the next step is to position your pieces onto your card base. Now my card base, I took Paper Tray's vintage cream cardstock. I cut a 4 1/4 by 11 inch piece, scored it at 5 1/2 inches, and then folded it in half using my bone folder to get a nice crisp crease. These pieces are just placed on there, not actually stuck down. And what I want to do is I want to stick them down using some dimensional foam. And the dimensional foam that I'm using is this one here from EK Success 3D Dots. It's a nice thin dimensional foam. It's only 1/16 of an inch. So I'm going to take my foam squares and apply them in the corners and kind of towards the edge of this piece here so that I can get some nice stability. And then I'm going to remove the backings. and position this so that there's an even border at the bottom, left, and right hand sides like so. So there you can see what that looks like. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the top piece and then stick it along the top. So there you can see what that now looks like, and you can see when you look at it from the side the dimension that we've created. So I've got here a scrap of vintage cream cardstock, 2 colors of ink, the Memento Cantaloupe and Memento Love Letter Classic ink, and the stamp set I'm using is from Paper Tray Ink, this 2012 Birthday Tags stamp set, and that's going to be the image that I'm using. And I've already got it mounted to an acrylic block. So I'm going to start by inking it up in the Cantaloupe ink, and then stamping it onto my vintage cream cardstock. I'm then going to clean my stamp, just stamping it off in the corner here on my grid paper, and I'm going to ink it up in my Memento ink, the Love Letter color. So there you can see what that looks like. And I think I'm actually going to try stamping that one again because it looks a little bit speckled. So I'm just going to do that off camera and then I'll be back. So I've stamped my image a second time and the star is a little bit better, not quite as speckled as it was there. Now for the red one, I'm going to die cut it out, and I'm using the Standard Circles Large Nestability set, and I'm using the third from the smallest circle. And you can see I've already got it positioned around my stamped image, and I'm holding it in place using a piece of my Scott matte removable tape. And I'm now going to die cut this with my Grand Caliber. So there you can see what that looks like. The next thing I'm going to do is to take my scissors and cut out this star. And I want to cut it just to the outside of the outer line. So I'm just going to take my scissors and finish cutting that out. So I've finished cutting out my little star, and now what I'm going to do is take one of these small little 3D dots from the same package of the that I used for the larger ones, put it on the back of my star, and then I'm going to stick this directly over top of the star in the center of the image that I stamped. There you can see what that looks like. So now the next thing I want to do is to add a little bit of glitter, and here I'm using this cool diamond glitter from Elizabeth Craft Designs. So I'm going to take a little 2-way glue pen here. You could also use some glossy accents and coat the entire surface of the yellow star. I'm going to lay it inside a coffee filter and then sprinkle on the glitter. I'm then going to flick off the excess glitter. There you can see what that looks like, and I'm just now going to set this aside to dry. So the glue is now dry, and now what I want to do is stick this to my card. Now you could either stick it flat using a liquid glue or double-sided adhesive, or pop it up a little bit, and I think what I'm going to do is pop it up. So I'm going to put one dimensional up here, one 3D dot, and one 3D dot on the opposite side down here. Remove the backing, and then stick it so that it overlaps that gap that we created. So now the last step is to embellish it with a few rhinestones, and I wanted some big rhinestones for that. Here you can see I have 2 different size rhinestones on this. This is just something, I think I picked this up at Michael's in the bargain bin section, but the yellow is not quite the right yellow. So I'm going to be using my Copic sketch marker, the YR15, the brush tip, and just brushing it over my rhinestones so that they get to be the color that I want them to be. So I'm just going to give those a moment to dry. So my rhinestones are now dry, so now using my tweezers I'm going to place one up here and then one here and I think one here, just like so, and then press them down with the tip of my tweezers. And there you can see what our project looks like. If you enjoyed this video, you enjoy the way we teach and would like to learn even more, we invite you to check out the Paper Crafters Library. Whether you're a beginner looking to learn the basics or an advanced paper crafter looking to learn new skills and techniques, you'll find it all here. Stamping, card making, scrapbooking, altered art, we cover it all. With over 1,600 videos currently in our library and videos added each month, we are the largest and most comprehensive online library of video tutorials for paper crafters on the internet. We invite you to visit our library and see what we're all about.